Hey, Jason.
How's it going, John?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm usually not expecting you to be one of the first people on.
Well, I'm just biding my time. I'm actually in a hotel in Brussels, so
Very nice. So what time is it there?
12:30 or almost 12:30.
AM or PM?
Uh AM. It's a little after midnight.
Ooh, a little late.
I guess.
Well, luckily this is going to be a very fast meeting, so as you can
Based
imagine.
on the agenda, it didn't seem that way.
14 items we can rip through.
All right, I have faith in you.
Whose cat is that?
Steve's.
Well, Suzanne, we all made it on the Zoom in one piece, so uh thank you for getting it set up for us.
Thank you very much.
Of course, my pleasure. It's nice to meet you also. I don't think we've been introduced yet. It's nice to meet you.
No, we haven't. I'll have to try to stop by one day and meet you in person.
By the way, just for everyone already on the Zoom, it looks like it is recording already. Just FYI.
So don't make any nasty comments about people's cats.
I I would never say anything bad about a cat.
Steve is signaling.
Oh, the cat's signaling.
I know we're all here, but we really do need to wait till 6:30. Steve, do you know your face is cut off about the level of your nose? Yeah, that's better. Thanks. Jason, do you have the minutes ready to pull up, among other things?
Yeah, I do
If we want them, yeah.
if needed, but I assume at this point everyone's already had eyes on them, so hopefully.
Could you just check the date at the top?
I can.
June 17th, right? That was our last meeting, right?
Yeah, but I think Steve's saying at Suzanne has since fixed it, but at one point the minutes we were sharing, I think it's a January.
It did.
So it does reflect the correct date now.
I feel as if I'm waiting for the ball in Times Square to drop.
We should have, some delightful music playing in the background just to keep us alert.
You can set that up for next time, John. Sure. Good at it.
I think that's extra feature. You're gonna pay extra.
That's probably true. We'd have to pay license it or royalty fees.
Okay, here we go. So this is the meeting of the Board of Health. It's Monday, September 9th, 6:30 PM. I'm Kay Peterson, Chair. Do a roll call.
Stephen Cresco, member.
John Quackenbush, member.
Okay, so we have a citizen comments period now for 5 minutes, and I see that there are some citizens here. I have the feeling that well, at least a couple of you are here related to an item on the agenda about the goats. And if that's true, I would recommend that you save your comments till we get to that on our agenda. If you're here to comment on something else, please let me know and we'll recognize you now. Anyone want to make a comment? Okay, so let's move on then. Just in terms of housekeeping, our next meeting will be October 7th, usual time. Anyone have any problems with that time, with that date and time? I don't. Steve and John, Jason, you're all okay with that?
As of now, it seems fine.
Okay. Steve, you too?
It's fine.
Great,
for the
okay.
moment.
For the moment, right. So, would anyone object if we change the order of the agenda and move the goat issue to now so that we don't keep people waiting while we do such things as approve our minutes and talk about various other things that wouldn't be particularly interesting?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's go for it. Jason, I think you've had the most to do with this. Do you want to begin and summarize the issues?
Yeah, well, so why don't I kind of set the scene? I know there's people on the call here who want to speak about it, so everyone will get an opportunity to speak if they wish. But just, I guess, a real quick summary. Our office received a letter in the mail about maybe a month and a half ago. It's probably towards the end of July. Regarding an odor concern coming from 1 Pond Street, which is also known as Goats of Dover. First thing I did when I received the complaint was obviously I followed up with the person who sent it just to let them know we received it. And we're going to be doing some homework and due diligence on it just to kind of, follow up on it. Pass it on to our animal inspector. And so what I did from there was I reached out to the property owners at 1 Pond Street. And we arranged a time for me to go out there. I'd never been out to the property, didn't know anything about it. Just kind of wanted to scope things out, see with my own eyes and own nose, if you will. So I met out there with the property owners, John and Mary, walked around the entire site. There was maybe, I could be wrong, John, but I want to say maybe there was a dozen or so goats when I was out that day, give or take. Walked around the site, pretty clean, didn't really have any concerns. Fairly tidy. Didn't notice any smell from my visit anyway. Not unless I was standing right up next to a goat with one nibbling on my pants. So, spoke with the owners, let them know what was going on, followed up with the person who complained afterwards. Based on my visit that day, I really didn't have any concerns with the condition of the property. You know, like I said, everything appeared to be in good shape. No smell really, as far as I could tell. So at this point, that complaint has been closed. There's currently no open complaints on that property. So the purpose of this today is to just kind of revisit, and you know, obviously summarize like I just did, and give folks the opportunity to speak about it if they so choose. So that's kind of where we're at as of today.
I think it would be a good idea for people to introduce themselves right now. So,
Sure, I'll go first.
go ahead.
So my name is Chai Swadipong. I live at 7 Ricker Road, pretty much 50 yards from the goats on Ricker Road. Now, are we in introduction phase, or do you want to?
Yeah, just
dive
introduce
into my
yourself.
concerns?
Yeah, we're not yet discussing, so.
Right.
Could other people introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm John Bennett. I'm the owner of Goats of Dover and an 18-year Dover resident. Thanks.
You're muted.
7 Riga Road. I just wanted to.
Am I muted now?
No, I'm sorry, the woman who's speaking was muted. Couldn't hear you. Could you try again?
Elena. You are unmuted now. Try to speak.
Guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Barely.
Okay. I'm Elena. I'm also in 7 Riga Road and just here because I want to have my own screen and be able to talk.
And there's a Maria.
Maria, you are mute.
You are on mute, Maria.
We need a Zoom class. I can introduce Maria. She lives at number 4 Riga Road, so which is in the vicinity as well. But
And
Maria,
her
thank you.
name is Maria.
Maria, yes.
Thank you, Chai.
Okay. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll have some discussion with the board members and then invite the rest of you to speak as well. So what's transpired since then, Jason, since your visit? You closed the complaint because you found that there wasn't an odor that was problem.
Yeah, so I mean, really, the only thing that's happened from there is one of the board members requested we put it on the agenda for discussion. So nothing's really changed since I went out and, you know, did what I had to do and actually closed out the complaint. So
Is that a new complaint? Has there been a new complaint?
no.
So Steve, you put it on the agenda. Do you want to?
That's correct. I cannot comment because I've been told by town council that I have a conflict of interest being in a butter and I cannot comment, so I will comment at other fora.
Okay, then I would say that if you'll comment as a citizen and that,
If I can do that and that I'm not held responsible for any conflict of interest, I'll be glad to comment.
You should announce
and-
your recusal, Steve, just for the record, please, if you could.
Pardon?
You should announce your recusal just for the
I
record.
just did.
Okay.
so our citizen comment period is for comments. It's not a question and answer period. We will not necessarily respond to what you say. We might ask you questions if we have questions, but we want to hear what you have to say. That will inform us.
Sure.
So,
All right, I can start if that's okay.
well, and I would say if you could please limit yourselves to say 3 minutes apiece approximately. And though I think our normal total limit for citizen comment is 5 minutes, we won't limit you to that because there's so many of you here. But also, please try not to repeat what other people have said, at least at any length.
I'll get right to the point.
Who is, okay, great.
This is Chai. I have a concern about the quality and the completeness of the inspection because no abutters were spoken to. And in fact, I just spoke with another abutter who had no idea that the inspection was going on. That's one. Two is that the inspection was announced. And it would be great if inspection was done unannounced. I don't know about the law or ramification of it, but if you're telling me, mom's coming, my reaction is to tidy up the room, right? If mom's not around, the closet is a mess, the floor is a mess. I've got pizza, I've got cheeses all over the place, Coke cans all over the place. So that's two. And three, I haven't seen any animal inspection report forever. And this is the second complaint that I have filed with the Board of Health. I think first one was in 2022 or so. I don't remember the exact date, but I've never afforded the animal inspection report in writing. Number four is that one of the remedies from the last times that the farm is trying to reduce the number of male goats or host male goats, the male goats somewhere else. The male goats are here. I mean, we smell them from time to time, and there is really no way to enforce how many goats will end up on the properties. Like Jason, you saw a handful, 12, because the goats are working. It's summer. They're eating shrubs and poison ivies. But come winter time, they balloon up. And when the air is stagnant and cold, we all know that hot air rises and it takes a smell along with it. Now, when the air is stagnant and cold, it just permeates my backyard and it just goes right to my hypothalamus. It's just something that, we all could smell a dish or a smell that would take us back to a 5-year-old kid, right? I mean, I don't need to say more than that. This smell is something really powerful. I mean, that's, it's a trigger. It's just bypass other reasons. And it's there. Now, number 6 is that, number 5 is the smell is strong, particularly not when, Jason was there, but after, let's say, a drizzling or rainy day, and the next day when the sun comes out, that's when the urine that's been saturated in the ground gets drawn out and then evaporated along with the heat. And I'd love to invite like any of the board members to come here and have dinner with me, just to smell of yourself one of these days. So it really affects, my quiet enjoyment. And I could not predict whether it's going to smell or not because, the wind blows from my property to their property during the day, and it's reversed in the evening. So I get, the evening when I'm about to have, dinner outside with my family, I couldn't really enjoy it. So that's, my kind of last citizen concerns I want to bring to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else wants to speak?
I would definitely like to speak. I actually prepared a few slides, if you don't mind if I share my screen. I think it might help illustrate the issues that are going on here. Would that be okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Jason, got it.
Great, one sec. Sorry, I guess I need a Zoom class too.
It's amazing, more than 4 years into this and we still struggle. I just
Okay.
checked, sharing it is enabled, so you should be able to share.
Okay, I think I'm almost there. I should be able to see it now.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm John Bennett. I'm the Chief Goat Officer at Goats of Dover. Been a resident in Dover for 18 years. So here's a chronology of the events that we've been discussing. On July 29th, I received an email from the Board of Health. I replied immediately. I invited Board of Health to inspect our property. I gave them 2 dates, and the latter date was chosen just because of schedule. So to address the announced versus unannounced, I basically agreed to meet immediately just to get that off the table. On the 30th, I scouted our entire property to find out if there's any source of odor. The only thing I could find was a small patch of composting hay and manure that had gotten mixed together and not cleaned up. So I apologize for that. I completely removed that and sanitized the area with water and bleach. So the problem, as far as I could find the problem, was solved in 1 day. On August 5th, the Board of Health inspected, and Jason was kind enough to send a follow-up email. And these are quotes from that email. I didn't notice any kind of smell when I was there, and I don't have any concerns about this property. On the 8th, I moved one of our hay feeders even further in towards the center of our property to keep anything else away from the abutters' land. So a quick track record of cleanliness. We've gotten consistently high marks from unscheduled barn manager inspections and scheduled on-site veterinarian appointments. We've had 2 visits from the Board of Health. We've had 1 from the Zoning Commission. All of those visits were based on complaints from the person on the phone here. And to date, so we've had about 5 official visits from trained professionals with absolutely 0 complaints. So our cleaning routine consists of, we rake the paddock at least twice a day. We muck at least once a week, including using bleach water spray to sanitize and neutralize odors, and food grade diatomaceous earth to eliminate pests. In the feeding areas, weekly, we clean and sanitize the hay feeders. Twice weekly, we sanitize the feeding areas with water and bleach, and daily we clean and dry all the feed bowls and utensils. Manure is hauled off site. Here's a quick look at the property and the goat paddock where the goats live. I show this to illustrate that the prevailing winds in Dover throughout the whole year are from west to east, and that's away from the complainant's property. Should also note that our entire plot slopes pretty steeply from uphill to downhill in the same direction, creating another barrier to any kind of potential smells. A little bit about
Sorry, John,
odor
can you go
science.
back?
Yeah, sure.
The paddock is the little area that's now underneath the, oh, okay,
Right
there
here.
it is. All right.
Okay, so
Thank
there's the paddock. The winds go from west to east, and the slope goes from high to low, away again from the abutter's property. A little bit of science behind odor. Whether an odor is offensive or not is subjective. It's completely subjective when it comes to science. It's based on individual preferences, sensitivities, and experiences. And I think Chai even said he gets triggered by childhood experiences or something else. A percentage of the population is very sensitive to smell and able to detect odors at very low concentrations. I think that's important to underscore. So these people are hypersensitive to odors. Measurement of odor quality is really difficult because there are no accepted scientific standards for actually measuring the quality of an odor. A few goat poop facts. Yeah, this always gets funny, right? So the amount of nitrogen in manure determines the potency of its odor. The hottest, smelliest manures come from omnivores like chickens. Goat poop has more concentrated nutrients, less nitrogen, and has less odor. Also less methane than chickens. The reason I bring up chickens is, for a number of years, the complainant actually had a chicken coop on his property. And although the rooster would wake us up routinely, and although occasionally would smell chicken poop, would produce foul smells, we never complained. And here's why not.
John,
Because we understand. Sorry?
you better move along quickly because
I will do my best.
Things get
Right? So
extra.
why did we never complain? Because we understand that Dover is synonymous with farming. Even the Dover Town Report has this quote: Dover's farming heritage is still evident in rural quality of the town. This heritage and country atmosphere is highly valued by the citizens of Dover. It's one of the reasons I moved here. Our town reports feature imagery of livestock and farming all the time. Even our town seal has the image of a plow. So I think it's fairly safe to say we are self-defined as a farming community. The only state law stuff I've been able to find was this one right here, Section 125A of general law. The odor of normal maintenance livestock or noise from livestock shall not be deemed to constitute a nuisance. Sorry, and I can't find any town bylaws related specifically to livestock odors. Last slide here. We're a small local business with a proven reputation. We're happy to share dozens of client testimonials. We've won the Next Door Neighbors website favorite award 3 years in running. We have longstanding working relationships with local businesses like Boyset Farm, and we regularly donate a portion of our proceeds to local causes. Thanks for making time to listen.
And is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Maria or
Yeah, you can speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, finally. Sorry. Yes. Well, our main complaint is that we usually go for walks pretty much every day.
Maria,
And,
can you say where you live?
yes, number 4 Riga.
Thank you.
Yes. So we usually go for walks in the evening, and we basically change the route because every time we pass by, it's really uncomfortable, the smell. So that's pretty much our concern. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I had one other thing I needed to say. Chai had mentioned that we have male goats here that are intact. That's completely inaccurate. Those goats all live in Millis, and we followed the rule that we set upon ourselves to move any breeding males off site. There are no breeding males here.
There is no way for us to know, right? There is no enforcement.
Come over and I'll lift up their legs and you can take a look.
So are there any questions from board members? And Steve, did you want to make a comment as a citizen?
As a citizen, I'd like to make a comment,
Please.
and this is only as a citizen. The area around that property in One Pond stinks. I'm told that by many people who come up my driveway, who walk in the neighborhood, and I'm told by that as recently by my son, who now lives here. As far as living in Dover goes, I've been here for 45 years. So 18 years doesn't seem very impressive, even though it's been mentioned. And I think that this odor is noxious enough that a large number of neighbors are very concerned about minimizing it or eliminating it entirely.
Thanks, Steve. There's another person, Jennifer Cronin, who seems to have joined. I don't know if you saw that, Kay.
Yes, Jennifer's our animal inspector.
Okay.
And we'll loop her in just a minute, but are there any other citizen comments? Yes, I'm sorry, I can't remember your first name.
Elena.
Elena, yes. Please
Thank
go ahead.
So I'm gonna just add a couple of comments. My husband pretty much covered a lot, but from another perspective, we are we moved here because we love to be outdoor. We love to have family and friends over, and we have restricted ourselves, and we feel really embarrassed when people come over, and the first thing they say is that they feel. I'm not gonna say it's 100%, but 90% of the time they feel the smell. So we are trying to enjoy dinner, lunch, a meal, and you have that smell. And another comment I'm going to make is in several times, or the 2 times that we have a Zoom meeting, John has mentioned about the chickens. Yes, we have chickens for 2 years. And I probably agree that it was a little bit smelly, and we got rid of the roosters within, I would say, 3 weeks because actually, we got 3 roosters and we were not intended to do that, so we got rid of them. But it was a family hobby. It wasn't a business. And I did not, as soon as I heard a complaint from my neighbor, we got rid of the roosters. And there wasn't any financial interest or business around our chickens. However, the goats of Dover is a business. And I think it is not acceptable that someone is running a business at the expenses of everybody's living experience in their own house. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. John, Jason, do you have any questions for the people who've attended the meeting?
No, just a quick comment that the property is zoned
Wait,
for both.
I meant John Quackenbush. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask about the zoning. I assume all the zoning laws are adhered to and that there's no problem with running a business from the property.
Yeah, zoning board was out here about 40 years ago, and the property is zoned for both agricultural and business. So regardless of opinions, that's what the law says.
Yeah.
And John, do you live on the site? John Bennett, do you live on the site?
Yes, I do. Yep. I was in corporate America my whole life until COVID came, and they laid off 60% of the workforce for the big tech company I was working for. And I needed to start a business to have livelihood and pay my taxes.
John Bennett, do you feel that are you aware of odors from time to time?
Well, as I said, the science behind goat poop
No,
itself.
I'm talking about you personally.
Myself. I almost rule myself out because I'm here all the time, right? So do I get desensitized? Maybe. I can tell you that we run a very clean operation. We work really hard to keep it clean. And no, on a day-to-day basis, I don't really smell any odors. And as soon as we get a complaint about it, we start to rectify anything that we can do to mitigate or completely eliminate what that odor might be, as proven by what we've done in the past. We moved goats off site. We have a very rigorous cleaning procedures that we do every day. And we want to be good neighbors and respond quickly if we hear something. We can only respond if we hear something. We can't.
And I have a question for Chai, Maria, and Elena. Do you feel that there is variability in the odor from day to day?
Absolutely. Because it depends on the wind. Because like the wind is not just blowing in one direction. Like today, we know we all live in Dover. The wind's all over the place, right? It's left and right. If you step outside for today. Now, like I said, in the morning, we don't feel it as much because the air blows from my property to the goat farm. In the evening, it reverses, in fact, and we could pick that up in the evening from time to time, and that's what makes it unpredictable. So we limit ourselves, to pretty much not inviting people over and less time outside.
And Maria, do you find it variable also? Oh, you're muted still. Or again.
No.
I'm so sorry. I keep having trouble with the mic. Yes, from time to time, it's really uncomfortable walking by.
So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It depends.
Yeah, usually we walk in the evening, and somehow whenever like I say, we kind of change our route because passing by it was really not nice. Yeah, like you have to hold your breath pretty much when you pass by. So we kind of go somewhere else, even though we like that street because it's quiet, easy to walk, and yeah.
Well, two quick things about that. It's true that winds are variable, but the established.
John, we're not actually here for you all to debate this with each other.
Okay.
It's really for you to make comments and us to ask you questions, and then we will have our own deliberation.
Kay, if I may jump in,
Yeah.
I know Jen Cronin just joined us. And I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, Jen, but I didn't know if you had comments or anything you'd like to share regarding this property. Obviously, you being the animal inspector, you'd know better than anyone. You predate most of us here, so I'm curious if you have any thoughts on it.
Sorry, I can't seem to get my camera to work, but
Okay, we can hear you at least.
I've been over there, and it's for the amount of goats they have, it's really clean. And I mean, maybe I'm a hard judge because I have goats myself. And sometimes they do smell, and if you're cleaning, like when I'm cleaning the stall, there's a lot of, you know, the ammonia urine type smell. And then, you know, you put the new shavings down and you take the manure away, and it's fine. But I've been over there, you know, I went over after the complaints. I've been over to do my barn inspections, and you know, one time I went and there was a teenage boy there working, and he said he, you know, goes over and cleans every afternoon. So I've found the place to be very, very clean.
I have a question maybe for Jennifer, which is, does the odor, vary with how frequently the manure is removed from the property?
I would think so. I mean, I know as I'm cleaning the stall, my stall, you know, out of personal experience, that it smells. And then once you know, you cover it up, then the smell kind of dissipates. So as you're adding hay and other things, it kind of dissipates until it gets taken away. And I've gone at different times of the day to the goat farm, and you know, in the evening or in the morning, and both the different times it was very clean. But you know, if it's a hot, humid day, you know, animals are smelly. There's nothing
So,
you
I mean,
can
Jennifer, I'm sorry, Jennifer, is there any step that Goats of Dover could take to mitigate odor that they aren't taking already? I mean, I understand they're, you know, raking twice a day, mucking the stalls at least once a week. They use diatomaceous earth. They use bleach to get rid of some of the odors. It sounds like to me like they're doing a fair bit. Is there something, you know, something else they might be missing?
The only thing I could think of is just lime. I know, because I worked at a horse farm for years, and we always sprinkled lime. That, you know, the white lime you put on your lawn. I don't know if you
Right.
use that, John, or not, but that can help with odors.
Yeah, we kind of counted the bleach to mitigate odors, and the diatomaceous earth does some of that as well.
Yeah.
John moves the manure off the property once a week. If that were more frequent, would that make a difference, do you think, Jennifer?
I don't think so, because he's, you know, he's mixing hay and everything else in there.
It's in stored. Sorry, Jen. It's in stored containers as well until it's moved off site.
Yeah, because I didn't see any manure when I was there. What did you think, Jason, when you went?
So I know you joined us a little later, Jen, but I kind of gave a brief summary just to kind of open things up with this. You know, and for everyone on the call, keep in mind, you know, my findings are only based off of my one time out there. I'm not arguing one way or another. If you guys are dealing with it at times and it smells, I believe you. I'm not doubting that. I'm only speaking off my visit for that one day. Appeared to be clean from what I saw. No odors really that I could notice. So, I kind of just left things be at that point, and I closed the complaint on my end.
So, I'm hearing the concerns from the people who live nearby. And, I understand that animal smells are more or less offensive to different people depending on who they are. But, I'm trying to come to grips with what the role of the Board of Health would play here in making any kind of decision. It seems that Goats of Dover is operating within the constraints of local zoning law. They're properly incorporated. The animals, from the report from Jennifer, appear to be well cared for, and they're being a number of steps are being taken to mitigate odor and ensure the goats continue to be healthy. There were problems with unneutered male goats, which everyone admits are particularly smelly, and those were moved offsite to Millis. So, I'm having trouble seeing where there's a place where we as the Board of Health have any jurisdiction to step in, right? I can't see John and Goats of Dover doing anything that represents a health hazard to the local citizens or to the goats themselves.
I would say that it's that really repugnant odors. I'm not saying that that's the case here. I'm just saying that places which have really horrible odors can cause psychological distress. And so I think in that regard, it's within the jurisdiction of the Board of Health.
All right, thanks, Kay.
Jason, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one important thing for everyone to keep in mind, I know Chai had mentioned one of his bullet points, inspection reports and things of that nature. Dover doesn't have any formal animal regulation, so there really is no standard or formal inspection process. So, and please, if I'm wrong, Jen, you can correct me. But I think for the most part, for your inspections, they are informational, figuring out where barns are, how many animals, general observations on condition, giving recommendations if you have any. We really don't have any formal regulations or anything that we can point to. So something like this would kind of just default to a nuisance, which is enforceable by the Board of Health. However, when it comes to farm animal odors, John Bennett actually brought it up on one of his slides, but there is a piece in Mass General Law that exempts those for the most part, unless it is something overly egregious or, but it's all opinionated. So it's tricky. I mean, we don't really have much we can point to here.
Is that true only in right to farm communities, which we are not? Jason?
That's a good question. I can see if I can pull it up quick.
Sorry to interrupt, but it seems like you are deliberating. Should we be listening to this, or are we dismissed?
No, well, you're welcome.
You're welcome to stick around.
Okay.
Yeah, we're mandated to have open meetings, so all of our deliberations are open to the public.
Okay, great. I'll just keep listening. My mic is muted.
Question, if I may.
Well, we're actually deliberating now, so this is not a time for questions.
I don't see anything that mentions it only applies to right to farm communities. But so I guess either way, so what I would ask the group is, where do we want to go from here? you know, even though I'm not sure there's anything the Board of Health can do directly in terms of taking an action, I'm the type who's happy to facilitate, you know, whatever we can do to make this work for everyone involved. You know, I don't want all you folks living in a neighborhood together where there's ill will or things going on where, you know, you may have a problem with. I want to come up with a solution we can all be happy with and move on and go about our own businesses. So if we have some way to do that, that would be my goal with this.
So I'd like to suggest that we do a site visit. But the problem is, of course, that this is a variable phenomenon, and I don't know how we predict the best time to go, or I don't know if you want to call it the best time or the worst time, but or whether we I don't know. Any thoughts about that? I have a thought, which is that maybe we maybe the complainants could let us know when it's when there's a lot of odor, and we could do our best to respond that day. You know, not necessarily guaranteeing that we could, but
John Bennett, is that something you'd be open to? Maybe having everyone on this call or whoever's interested, just maybe seeing if we can pinpoint a day and just all take a walk out and see how things are, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, considering we had 5 visits here right now with no smell outcome, what I would suggest is what Kay was just suggesting, is let the complainant call on a day where, in his opinion or her opinion, the odor is there. And you guys can start at the complainant's house. And then, of course, we would welcome you over to see if there's anything you could pinpoint. But I think seeing things, so to speak, from the other side of the fence, or smelling things from the other side of the fence, is a step that hasn't happened yet. And that seems to me like it'd be a good step, and we totally support that.
And since I work in Boston and I tend to leave early and come back late, if I swung by on a Sunday, which is usually a good time for me, would that be all right with you, John?
Well, again, I think we should start at Chai's house, because that's where the problem seems to be emanating, you know, or being noticed at. And on our property, after several visits, no one's been able to pinpoint anything.
And
I was just thinking about coming and walking around the neighborhood area.
I'm happy to accommodate, so.
That's fine with me
and
too.
I will, you know, send out a flare and says, you know, let's come smell this now.
So here's what I would tell the group. So Chai and John Bennett, I'm sure, can attest to this. I'm very responsive and easy to get in touch with. My email and phone number is located on our Dover Board of Health page. I would encourage any of the other neighbors or any interested parties to, you know, reach out anytime. Let me know this is happening. You know, so we can coordinate and, you know, do any further due diligence we might have to do with this.
Yes, so it you know, I've got to be honest here and upfront with everyone. It might take some time. They don't smell on command, right? It might take some time for the air to cool and for rain to come in, and all of that factors for this to surface. And that's why the big V word here is huge, the variability, because they've got this condition that's got to be right to meet. Now, during the springtime, it was easy. Summer a bit more difficult, and now in fall it's pretty much, you know, it's a coin toss. We don't know which way it's going to land, but just do give it some time. I have this set up in my Outlook calendar to review it, you know, every day, and I will have you on speed dial, or like I said, I'll shoot the flag, and then we can go from there.
Well, this sounds
Right.
like a good plan to me.
yeah.
Yep.
And then I think we may do a little research about what our jurisdiction is in this kind of situation as it is.
All right.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening and nice to meet everyone. So hopefully we meet again soon.
Thanks
Yes,
for having us.
thank you guys. Nice meeting you all.
I like your background, Quackenbush, John.
This is actually a Brussels hotel room.
You're in
Hey,
Brussels?
you picked a good
Yeah.
one.
Wow.
Picked a good one. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, but there's.
Yeah, we're moving
we're
on
done-
from the
we're
goat.
done with your topic, so. Okay,
Bye.
Thank you guys. Have a good
And
evening.
thank you for coming, Jennifer.
Oh, no problem. Sorry I was late.
okay.
No,
thank
we
you so much.
really appreciate your insight, Jen. Thanks for joining us and helping us out on this one.
Okay. Have a good night.
You
You
too.
too. Thank you.
Good night. And if any of you have any questions on technology, I work for Microsoft, so ask away.
Okay. I do need help.
All right. So email me as a citizen.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, your Azure background is flipped, so
Yeah, it's not flipped here. It's kind of, Zoom strange. You should
That's a
switch to
Zoom.
Teams.
there's a Zoom setting too that you can fix it.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, so shall we go on to our minutes?
Sure.
Steve's a board member again, right?
Have you morphed back into being a board member, Steve?
I think he has.
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes, has everyone reviewed them? Do you have any
Yes.
changes to suggest? There was something early on that I didn't understand, something that was attributed to me, but I don't have it in front of me. Let's see, I can pull it up on my phone. Okay, here it comes. The second, number 2, Chair Peterson noted that they intend to revise their charter to be more clear and referred him to the International Code Council. I didn't know what that meant. This has to do with the pool covers.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to me. Who's they who intends to revise a charter? I would say, since that's doesn't make sense to any of you, probably maybe we should just delete that sentence. Do you remember, Jason?
Honestly, if it sounds messy and convoluted to you, it's probably best to just remove it,
Okay.
as long as the group agrees.
I agree.
Steve, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's it.
Move
All
that
right.
they be accepted.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? I, Kay Peterson.
I, Stephen Crestwell.
Hi, John Quackenbush.
All right. Now let's talk about the shared public health services and the intermunicipal agreement. Now you've all seen that, hopefully, and the question is, our job is to approve it or disapprove it, or not approve it, depending on our point of view, but is there any discussion about the document before we vote on approval?
Do either of you John or Kay have any reservations about this?
I don't. I think it's a good idea for us to enter into this agreement.
And I agree.
Is the town manager aware of this?
Yes. So the next thing from here is the Board of Selectmen will have it on their next agenda for their approval.
The other person who's reviewed it is Nina Pickering Cook, and she's okay with it also. So, any other discussion? Someone want to move that we approve the IMA?
I
Shared
move that we approve the IMA.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye, Kay Peterson.
I, John Quackenbush.
Aye, Stephen Kruskall.
Okay. The next item has also to do with shared services. We set up the advisory board of our shared services group such that there's a representative from the board in each town of the 4 towns. And we decided that we wanted to require a unanimous vote on anything that came before this advisory board. That is, a 3-to-1 vote would not pass. We thought that that would make us more likely to come to consensus and less likely that any one town would feel as if it was being neglected or abused or whatever. I'm not finding the right word, but that makes it very important that every town also have an alternate on this board because, obviously if one person's not there, then nothing can be voted on. I would like to propose that Jason be made an alternate voting member for that. The alternate members do not have to be board members. They can be staff. Jason's been attending these meetings from the get-go and is quite up to date on things and engaged. So I'd like to propose that he be our alternate.
Discussion? Would this require, and I think it may, additional compensation for Jason?
No,
Not a bad idea though, Steve.
It will be a recurrent theme.
any other thoughts?
Well,
Well, go ahead, John.
no, I mean, I think it's a sensible idea. I don't know about the compensation bit. That's probably a matter for another discussion. But I do think appointing Jason as an alternate is sensible. So I move that we appoint Jason as an alternate.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, Kay Peterson.
Aye, Stephen Kruskall.
And I, John Quackenbush.
Item 7 on the agenda, COVID protocol for employees. Steve, I think you asked that be put on the
Yes,
agenda.
I did, because of the recent increased incidence amongst employees at the townhouse. And measures that were taken did not resemble measures of years ago during the first couple of years of COVID. Some employees didn't notify their supervisors. Other employees who were close by, the ones who contracted the disease, were not tested. And the decision of employees returning to work, I'm not so sure was consistent in terms of definition. So I think we have to revisit how we feel about this, and we may not feel very strongly at all. But I think there ought to be something in place that people could adhere to and agree upon.
So the
Uh,
their state guidelines, and, now I forget what CDC guidelines, for COVID that are available. Are those being followed, or it sounds like they're not?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they're really just recommendations. There's
Yeah.
nothing, there's really no policing or anything like there was, 3-4 years ago.
These cases were not reported to Jason.
I mean, in 2024, I honestly, wouldn't really expect them to be.
Well, again, just let's have something in place that says just that. Because what we had in place previously did say that, I believe.
I think that, I think the HR department and the town government in general, the employees are not, I think they all assume that we're beyond that. I think it would really be, I don't think it would change anything or be particularly helpful to people to have us write that there is no specific protocol anymore. I mean, it's available on the Massachusetts DPH website, and there's further information at the CDC, but I don't know that we need to add anything.
Well, in the same vein, going forward, there may be other communicable diseases within the town that we don't have necessarily protocols in place. It is yet to be determined with certainty, but there's a rumor there's 4 cases of pertussis in the schools.
What are you saying about pertussis?
I'm saying there are 4 cases yet to be documented serologically
But I
that
mean,
are present in the schools.
but how does that connect to with what you've been
It's
saying?
saying that we should have protocols for dealing with various infectious diseases, though the schools probably view themselves as independent of our sway regarding any communicable disease.
So our public health nurse, which is Alyssa Kaiser, is responsible for implementing the guidance protocol from the state for management of pertussis and other communicable diseases that are on the specific list. But COVID is no longer something that the state recommends we deal with in that way.
Has that been put in writing?
Has what been put in writing?
As the state no longer wants boards of health to set up a course of regulations for the incidence of COVID in public buildings?
I think probably about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I missed that.
I think if you go to mass.gov and search about protocols for managing infection, you'll get some sense of it, but I don't know that you'll learn when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know specifics, but it was right around when everything, fully opened back up for the most part. So end of 21 or whenever that was, mid 21. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, it's been this way for a while at this point. But so I guess what I'm hearing from you guys is that we should just leave it be for now, correct?
That seems like the logical thing to do. Maybe one of the things we could do is write up a little blurb reminding people that, yeah, COVID cases are surging, cold and flu season is coming, and people should just, if they're not feeling well, stay home, and really just practice good common sense public health measures.
Come to our flu COVID vaccine clinic in October.
Yep.
You know, we could, the problem always comes up, how do you disseminate information efficiently as a Board of Health? There's no easy answer, but we could write up a little blurb for the next town newsletter, and we could print it up and distribute it at the flu clinic.
It also segues into the Board of Health banner space, which is further down on the list of the agenda, in that if we had our own dedicated space, we could disseminate messages that way, in addition to tick-borne disease prevention.
Yeah, just thinking about this particular topic, though, this is not a one-liner. You know, this is this, you know, management of respiratory infections in the winter and prevention of them is complicated, but it does make, we should, once we are a little farther along with our flu vaccine clinic planning, we should see if we can get that put on a banner, an announcement about that. All right. So Jason,
Linda, for the record, is in the process of ordering a new flu banner.
oh, great.
I don't know if you guys remember last year's, but it was like the third year or fourth year of that same banner, and it looked like something had chewed it up. So we will have a new and improved one for this year.
Okay, sounds good. Now I remember that you did talk about that. They get beaten up by the wind, is that?
Yeah, so actually, so this new one will have like you know, holes in it, or whatever the proper term is, to actually make it a little bit more durable.
Great. Okay, anything else about the topic of COVID protocol or respiratory infection protocol?
Nope.
All right, so we've talked about the goats, mosquito update. I just wanted to I wanted to make sure you're all aware of the arbovirus risks in our town, that the West Nile virus risk is considered moderate, the EEE is considered low. There was another case of EEE announced today that is in Middlesex County. So far, none of the EEE cases have been in Norfolk County.
We I just want to mention too, we have a little tab going on our Board of Health page right at the top. Red and yellow letters, just so you know, you go on and your attention is brought right to it. And it has all the most up-to-date mosquito information. Suzanne's been updating that once a week for like the last couple of weeks. So just, if anyone is looking around the website, there is information that they can reference, just if they are looking for mosquito information.
Great. Thanks for doing that, Suzanne.
My pleasure.
By the way, there was one mosquito that tested positive for West Nile virus from Dover at one point. I think it was back in July, something like that. And I think that's why our risk is considered moderate. We haven't had any mosquitoes test positive for EEE in our area. Right, moving on. I have just a little note here about Beth Israel Deaconess Needham. They are looking for someone from Dover to be a liaison to them regarding community education projects and other, I don't know what other kind of initiatives. They do community initiatives, and they want a liaison in every town that it's really in their catchment area. which at this point is most of Metro West, I would think, but particularly Dover, Needham, I don't know where else. But if you all think of anybody who might be good for that, will you let me know if anyone comes to mind? We're not responsible for finding the person, but Val Lynn has been the liaison and she doesn't want to do it anymore. So she's casting about looking for somebody to take her place. I told her I'd mention it at our meeting.
But what would their responsibilities be, Kay?
Well, it's a little bit not clear to me, but there's a monthly, a periodic luncheon, and there are meetings at which things are presented to them about BI Needham initiatives. And beyond that, I don't know. So BI Needham tries to coordinate with local communities, but it doesn't award grants to local communities for local public health initiatives. Steve?
When they have a member of Dover on the board, I'd be interested to know.
You want to know if they have Dover members on their board?
If they do they have a member who resides in Dover on their governing board?
I don't know about at the moment, but Carol Lisbon used to be on their board, and I think Sam Berman
Ma-
board.
Many community hospitals have that as part of their bylaws as far as their boards go.
Yeah. I don't know whether they're required to. Okay, moving on to the flu clinic. Jason, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, so flu clinic is a go for October 18th. It's a Friday. It's 10 to 4, same thing we did last year. Idea being catch people, you can catch everyone as they're getting out of school, or maybe they get out of work at 3. It's just kind of we wanted to stretch the window just to give as many people as we could the opportunity to get through. Had a great turnout last year. I don't remember the exact number, but it was something like maybe 130 or so people came through. The big difference this year is it will be flu and COVID. So that's a big plus. It's all one consent form. They don't have to do any extra consent forms or anything like that. They just go through and say, I want this or that or both or whatever it may be. So all squared away with Moji. All squared away with Highway Department. Going to use the perimeter of their building as we've done in the past. We'll see if we can get maybe the same volunteers we had last year. Should be pretty easy. Obviously, last year was my first flu clinic in town, so I have a good idea of how we're, going to get it up and running at this point. So this means for you, Suzanne, you can get everything up and running in terms of the sign up. I know you've been working on that stuff, so we can just take last year's, update it with all this year's info, and just, get it live. We'll put the barcode right on the banner I was talking about before, just so people, maybe if they're walking through the center, they can just sign up right there. So yeah, looking forward to it. Really don't have any concerns.
Are you going to use the Google form we had last year?
Yeah, that worked out great. So whatever we had last year, we're going to do all the same signups.
Right. So Suzanne, I was the one who put that together the last few years. So if you need help getting that up and running, let me know.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And, there are a few little quirks to it. There's no way to limit the number of people who can sign up for any particular time. So one of the things I did was we had little time windows, and as those got near capacity, I would just remove those times from the Google form. So
Okay.
they would be blocked out so people couldn't sign up.
All right, so definitely paying attention to the times that people are signing up.
Yeah, I just check it a couple times a day.
Yeah, I think it was either 15 or 20-minute blocks, I believe. So you'd have a little wave come through, and then you'd have a couple minute break, and then you'd have the next wave come through. So it was kind of smooth. It was never overly busy and never overly slow. So it
Well,
was
that's what
really
that's what I was,
consistent.
yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing last year, Jason, we had a projected number of people we could do in every 15-minute time slot. So I'd monitor the signups. And if we got near 50, I think it was 15 people in 15 minutes, or whatever the number was, as we started to get near that number, I'd then go in and remove that time period from the um the
Yep.
form.
Yeah, that was really important because otherwise we would have been way oversubscribed at certain times.
Yeah.
That was very effective. John, the other thing, I wanted to thank you for connecting us to Moji because he's been great. Quite a
It was
character.
just luck. Right
Yeah.
place at the right time.
He's
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. We're lucky to have him. We really appreciate him.
and it's great that he's going to be able to do COVID vaccines at this too. So,
Yep.
all right, great. Any other questions about that?
I just want to add, but probably a little too soon at this point, but maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll start working on some publications and signage and whatnot too, just to get the word out there. Newsletters, newspaper.
I would say it's not too soon because people are already starting to get their flu shots. And
Okay.
if they know that we'll be doing it on the 18th, some of them will
Plan
wait.
accordingly. Yep.
And their COVID shots.
Yep.
All right. Anything else about vaccines? Banner space. Steve, I think that's your agenda item.
Sure. I think the BOH needs its own permanent banner space. We're too much beholden to Parks and Rec for when our banners are raised for tick-borne diseases. And there are other possible things that we want to be messaging about. It was just referred to. And I think the step is to go to the town manager regarding that. And if we all are in agreement that we need that space.
I'm not aware that getting access to the current space has been a problem very often.
Our banner often comes down and during times of acute peak season.
So I think their policy is that banners stay up for 2 weeks at a time. Is that right? Anybody know for sure?
It's like a week or two generally. Yeah, he Mark schedules them all, so it's kind of a little process.
Mhm.
I actually think, I mean, we really only have one banner for the most part. I think maybe if we got a few more banners in circulation, maybe that's something we could try and do. Because really, all we have is the tick banner. I mean,
And we'll be getting our.
yeah, we'll have the flu banner in a few weeks, but the rest of the year we really don't have much. So maybe it's a matter of figuring out what we can get up there at different times during the year. I mean, in defense of Mark, he always finds a block for us. It's not really an issue of, it's not like he's saying, no, you can't put it up. It goes up, it serves its time, and then it comes down.
Are there other banners that people would imagine we would do well to have?
I mean, mosquitoes
Well,
would have been a great one, but everything with that kind of happened so fast. That's all developed over the last couple weeks. So yeah, we could get one of those, but by the time it shows up, we'll already have had the first
Messaging,
shot, so.
messaging regarding immunizations throughout the year. Certainly the tick season has expanded, and it's not in 2-week intervals. It's just worth exploring to see if we could have our own banner. I think it's imperative that we continue to notify the citizenry about tick-borne diseases.
But I like Jason's suggestion too. I think if we look into that, we should also think about a program of different banners that we want to put up as reminders during the year.
I think that there's a value in having something go up and come down and come back again. Having the same banner there all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Doing it, but if we had, particularly in the summer, for instance, if we rotated our tick banner and a mosquito banner, that would be great. And then we could obviously keep going with the ticks all year long. And the vaccines could be done. We could do something about vaccines based on our
Bottom
schedule.
line is we need more banner space, and I think that a Board of Health should have its own banner space.
Given the fact we don't have that many banners, I agree. I don't think it's a pressing matter at this point.
Yeah, if we had a 365 banner space, it would almost kind of be more pressure, just feeling like you have to have it filled constantly. I don't know that we could deliver on that unless you want the tick banner up.
Well, the tick banner would take up the majority of the time.
Right.
But it wouldn't be exclusive.
Right. But so I don't know. I guess adding more banner space, I think, is a Parks and Rec issue, don't you think? I don't know that we have any.
I think that Parks and Rec is not the people to seek recourse with regarding this. They haven't been that sensitive to our request to get the banners back up. There have been delays of 5 or 6 weeks sometimes.
Maybe Jason, you and I should go talk with Mark Maloney about this.
I mean, I've never had an issue with Mark Maloney. I'm not aware of any of these issues, so I'm not sure how to respond. I mean, Steve, if you have a personal issue with Mark, you could always just talk to him about it,
No, it's not a personal issue. Not at all. It's just a conclusion I've come to by experience in terms of how often our tick banner is displayed and the need to have other public health messaging and with a dedicated banner and space on that green.
So I'm also not aware of, I mean, I maybe have heard about one delay in a banner going up, but I haven't heard about this being a consistent issue. And I wonder if what we should do is prospectively make a plan to put our banners up. First of all, getting our banners made, and then have a talk with Mark about a plan to get them up, and then see what kind of follow through happens, and then decide based on how things go prospectively what we'll do next.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a much more straightforward approach. But I also think it does raise the question of whether or not we should be thinking about other public health announcements we should put up.
You mean on banners?
Yeah.
By the way, do people think that the banners are an effective way of reaching people?
If you stopped at the light, yes.
So, you know, there are many people in town who don't go through the center of town on a daily basis. It's like, you know, it's like every method of messaging. Nothing reaches everybody. It's really hard. Anyone have any idea how many people read the town newsletter?
I have no idea.
I don't either. I asked, what's the assistant administrator's name?
Chris.
Chris, and he didn't know. This was maybe a couple months ago. He didn't know at that point, but it's not many. I think the biggest readership is of that Dover MA Facebook page, which isn't even an official town page.
Mhm.
Steve, you and John, you're on that, right? Both of you?
Yes.
Are you, Jason?
No.
I do think that once we have a public health nurse, that we'll be able to do more messaging and maybe can develop. There won't be any magic. There's not going to be any magic solution, because the problem is still, how do you reach people who are in a small town with no local journalism? It's really difficult. But anyway. So I don't think we want to vote on this, but are we okay trying to get our banners made? Talk to Mark about getting them up and when we want to get them up. And I do think we should talk to Mark about the fact that, you know, we may want to put up a mosquito banner at the drop of a hat, probably next summer, because the issue is almost gone this year. But we also don't have a banner made about mosquitoes, but that I think he should be aware of the fact that we might want to put something up on an emergency basis sometime, which I don't think we've ever asked him for, have we?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think we have.
So maybe we could talk about that and talk about a plan for tick-borne diseases and mosquitoes and vaccines on a regular basis, and then we'll think about other topics.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we went to Mark and said, hey, Mark, we have 4 signs now in rotation. Can we block off times for these? He would accommodate.
Yeah.
It's just all we have right now is that one tick sign.
Yeah.
I'd love to have more signs. So maybe that should kind of be our focus.
Okay. All right. That seems good to me, but Steve, are you okay?
Yeah, I've got you thinking about this.
Yeah. That's why we had it on the agenda. Get some good discussion going.
Okay. Any other business, old business? Okay. Are we ready to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Let it be noted that we adjourned at 1:52 a.m. Russell's time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your dedication. It's impressive.
Yes, and nice work, everyone, considering it was a busy agenda. Pretty quick and efficient.
Thank you.
And thank you for your help, Suzanne. Nice to meet you. I look forward to meeting you in person.
I do as well. Very exciting. First one in the books. I'm here.
You're coming to the next one, right? You'll be back, right?
Everyone.
Okay.
I'm not missing a single one.
I got to
Okay,
watch the
good.
sun go down behind you, so
We didn't want
Yes.
to we didn't want to scare you off for this one, so.
No, this was perfect.
All right.
thanks.
Thanks.
All right.
Good
What's
night.
Bye,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a great night. Thank you.